Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the National Soccer Network's coverage of the 2025 Ron Newman Cup and the Major Arena Soccer League Championship. Alongside my partner Dan Stickrett, my name is Neil Rule, giving you whistle-to-whistle coverage, I guess you could say, of the matchup tonight. The Chihuahua Savage at home, the San Diego Sockers with the 1-0 lead. And Dan, an entire season comes down to this. But these two sides, San Diego, Chihuahua, it was always going to be this way, right?
You know, games started back in late November, but it was always going to be that way. The way the season played out, the numbers these two teams have put up, you look at the stat categories up and down those lists, and these two teams are all over it. So the number one, number two seeds facing off in the finals. We'll know tonight who will be the 2025 North American champion in the MASL.
Absolutely, one match away and maybe then some. We'll talk about that coming up in just a couple of minutes. We'll also take a look at the MASL first team, second team, the individual award winners as well. We'll have a conversation with one of those award winners also. But Dan, let's take a look at how we got here. The San Diego Sockers got the win at home in game number one of this matchup against the Chihuahua Savage. And San Diego did it, Dan, very much on brand when you look at how it all broke down.
Yeah, 7-5 victors in that game number one. They did not let Chihuahua kind of run up that scoreboard and get untracked offensively. They kind of contained them a little bit, and that's what they'll have to do here tonight. That's what teams have wanted to do all season long, but unfortunately for the opposition, it has not been an easy task of slowing down that offensive juggernaut of Chihuahua Savage.
As I like to say, the San Diego Sockers kept Chihuahua in the building, which is easier said than done, but they certainly did that. Puentes scored 4 goals for the Chihuahua Savage, but the biggest thing that you see in the stat sheet is what you don't see. And by the way, no championship game is complete without a "We Want the Cup" sign, as we saw from the fans in San Diego. But what was more intriguing about the box score, Dan, was what we didn't see. And we didn't see Jorge Rios in there for Chihuahua. If you can slow him down, if you can stop him, you increase your chances tremendously.
That's a huge part defensively. Rios, again, top 10 in multitude of stat categories. He has been one of the top goal scorers, top threats overall, setup men, you name it. He has been a key part of that offense for Chihuahua since the beginning of the season. It is very difficult to slow him down. The Sockers were able to do that last Sunday night. Will they be able to do that tonight? It is a huge, huge thing that will allow the Sockers to try to find a way to take home the national championship.
Tavoy Morgan with 2 goals and an assist for San Diego, but the trick is to do it again in one of the toughest environments in all of MASL. What's on the line for the Chihuahua Savage tonight? Well, they're chasing a bit of history. They can go back to back to back with a Ron Newman Cup champion. And again, we've talked about it. You go up and down the record books of the Major Arena Soccer League. There's a lot of Chihuahua Savage. There's a lot of San Diego Sockers.
Soccer 6-0 all time in terms of winning the championship. Their first came back in 2010. They won again in 2021 and 22. Savage have taken the last 2. But what's interesting is neither of these teams have ever lost in the finals. Regardless if it was a 1-game or a 3-game series, neither team has walked away as a runner-up. That will happen after tonight.
Somebody's O has got to go, as the famous Michael Buffer used to say. As we take a look at the scoring summary from game number 1 at Front Wave Arena, but it's all on the line tonight at Corner Sport Arena in Chihuahua, Mexico. Chihuahua must win to force the extra quarter playoff, and we will discuss that coming up in just a little bit. Let's take a look at the Major Arena Soccer League across the numbers offensively. And look, Dan, I always like to say this. The Major Arena Soccer League is fun. Goals are fun. Scoring is fun, and we've seen an uptick in that in the MASL in a big way.
1,828 goals were scored in the regular season over 144 total games. I think that number says it all.
No, it absolutely, absolutely does. MASL, they put out a premium product. There is no doubt about it, and it is a lot of fun. When we come back, we will take a look at all the award winners of MASL first and second team performers as well, and also a discussion with the Defensive Player of the Year coming up in just a little bit. This is the National Soccer Network's coverage of the 2025 Ron Newman Cup.
access to endless communication channels. But despite our online connections, one dynamic will always separate the value in a phone call from an email, and that's relationship. Growing businesses and customer relationships live and die by the phone system, and an enterprise phone solution is the key to bridging the communication gap between you and your customers. At Spectrum VoIP, we exist to make sure your communication is seamless, consistent, and reliable. With simple pricing and reliable support, we dramatically reduce your telecommunication expenses. We come to you to install, train, and onboard your team, and our 24/7 support team is always available to help. Our interactive web portal has endless features that include the real-time data you need, the ability to record, download, and re-listen to phone calls, and sending SMS text messages straight from your computer. And the best part is that all of this is available in the palm of your hand. Since reliability is one of your top priorities, we make it one of ours. So what makes us different? We don't just connect your phones. We power your connection with your customers, your team, and your next level as a business.
Please 6 miles, runway 26 right, right on.
Welcome back to the National Soccer Network League studios in Detroit, Michigan. Neil Rule, Dan Stickrat back with you, continuing coverage of the 2025 Ron Newman Cup and the Major Arena Soccer League Championship, the two premier franchises ready to do battle. There will be a champion this evening. But Dan, we were talking about the numbers of the Major Arena Soccer League. Let's flip that up, take a look at what's going on defensively across Major Arena Soccer League, and you see the saves, the blocks, and more on that in a minute when we talk to the Defender of the Year, Chad Vandergriff from the Kansas City Comets. But, you know, Dan, when you look at it, the block shots, it's certainly an art.
It is, and I'm speaking from a former defender myself. It is an art. Sometimes I think back to when I was a youth, standing in front of, of a set piece, taking a ball off the thigh, off the side of the head. I understand what it takes to be a defender. I'm sure all these guys that made the postseason honors in terms of defenders understand that as well.
No doubt about it. Let's check out the Major Arena Soccer League first and second team. We'll start with the second team performers across the MASL, and obviously we're talking about Chihuahua Savage and San Diego Sockers and their play tonight. You see all the stars of the league represented, but on that second team, a lot of Chihuahua Savage, a lot of San Diego Sockers as well. Certainly Pardo, the keeper for San Diego Sockers, he's an essential part of what they do. They're a very good defensive team.
Yep. Chihuahua has two guys on the second team. The Sockers have one, but Reynoso has been one of the steady hands defensively in terms of being a goalkeeper. His numbers are amongst the best in the league. And they've rotated two goalkeepers in and out this season, but again, as you said, you look at the lists, the stats, everything with these two teams involved, and their names are all over.
And as we check out the first team performers as well, these are the names that you know. These are the names that you will hear certainly a lot. And of course, Chad Vandergriff on there. We'll talk to him coming up in just a couple of minutes. But there is a lot of firepower on those first teams.
And Chihuahua has 3 first-team players. Sockers have 1. You see Rios there from Chihuahua, 33 goals in 2024-25 season. He is amongst the leaders in a multitude of categories, but 33 goals, I believe, was tops in the league.
Right.
And that is a player that the Sockers are going to have to find a way to slow down here tonight. in Chihuahua, Mexico.
Let's take a look at the newcomer of the year. Chad Porch from the Baltimore Blast takes those honors. Played in 23 games, had 23 goals, 10 assists as well for the Baltimore Blast. I guess he fits in pretty well.
23 goals as a rookie. You can't complain about those numbers.
No.
23 goals, 10 assists, top 50 in both categories in terms of the league overall. 33 points is another player that's, you know, you can't ask for anything more as a rookie when you put up those types of numbers.
No question. And now let's welcome in the Defender of the Year, Mr. Chad Vandergriff from the Kansas City Comets. We see his numbers up on the screen as well. Chad, kind enough to join us here from our NSN studios. Chad, we appreciate the time, my friend. Thank you very much for joining us. This is the second time for you to win this award. What does it mean to be a multiple-time Defender of the Year?
Yeah, thank you guys for having me on. Winning it the first time is amazing, and obviously winning it again here this past season means a lot.
Chad,
with different teams.
Sorry, go ahead, my friend.
I was just going to say, both of them were with different teams, so they were both special.
Chad, you also led the league in block shots, which I guess plays a big part in being the Defender of the Year. Chad, I've always talked about this. Defense in the game of soccer, and I don't care if you're playing the MASL, if you're playing in the World Cup, wherever you're playing, it is a want-to business to willingly put yourself in harm's way just in terms of blocking shots. You do it better than anybody else in the MASL. Can you break down the mentality of that? Take me through the act of blocking a shot.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you don't want teams to score. So there's a lot of goal-scoring opportunities in indoor, and you have to be really tight on those offensive players around your goal and around your box. So I just lay my body on the line and try to keep my goalkeeper from having to make more saves. I know my teammates feed off of those big blocks. So it's kind of an energy boosting thing as well.
Chad, when you see a guy maybe like a Jorge Rios or somebody, one of the big-time goal scorers in Major Arena Soccer League, when you see them wind up, do you kind of just grit your teeth and say, oh, we're going to take this one and it's going to be bad? How does that work mentally?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, you know, there's blocks where you're away, 10 feet away and they're hitting you, but I like to attack them, I want to take it in the face, in between the eyes. So, that's just a defense. Like you said, Rios and Morales, you'll see him tonight. There's so many good offensive players, Tavoy Morgan. But as a defender, like you want to match yourself up with some of those top goal scorers.
Chad, before we let you go here, obviously you would rather be playing in this match tonight than you'd rather be talking to us on the National Soccer Network, I'm sure. What's it going to take for the Kansas City Comets to get on that level as well? Certainly you guys have one of the premier rosters in this game as well. What's it going to take to get up into that match and be playing in this match next year?
Yeah, I mean, we have experience. We had experience last year, but we have a lot of players that have big-time roles on our team that are in their first, second, third year. So this past year, getting knocked out early, but still in playoffs and being around and watching those other playoff games there in San Diego, and then the year before. So I think people are starting to realize what it takes and the details and how important those are. But everybody with KC Comets, we want to be in the championship every year.
All right, well, Chad, we certainly appreciate your time. Congratulations on being the Defender of the Year for the second time in your career, and we'll be watching you again next season, my friend. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Chad Vandergriff, everybody, the Defensive Player of the Year for the Major Arena Soccer League. The numbers certainly impressive. 81 block shots, led the league in that department. Let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll take a closer look at this matchup tonight. San Diego Soccer's a Chihuahua Savage playing for all the marbles, and we have it for you coming up in just a little bit. This is the National Soccer Network.
Indoor soccer fans, it's time to unleash a giant leap for fandom. Introducing MASL Indoor Soccer Fantasy Football. Build your dream team, invite your friends, and create your own draft league, all for free. Draft and trade players and win bragging rights as your team dominates the league. With MASLI Football, you're not just a fan, you're part of the action. Go to MASLI Football to sign up, get started, and play.
Welcome back to the National Soccer Network's coverage of the 2025 Ron Newman Cup. The San Diego Sockers, the Chihuahua Savage, the Sockers took game one of the matchup. You are looking live at Corner Sport Arena in Chihuahua, Mexico. That is where it will all go down, a place that certainly the Chihuahua Savage have had things go their way pretty much every time. And when I say pretty much every time, I mean no, literally every time.
Undefeated this year. You look at the numbers, they've outscored the opposition 218 to 114 in the regular season. They only lost 4 games in the regular season, all on the road, 12-0-0 at home, 8-4 on the road. So you look at the confines of Corner Sport Arena, and they are a very difficult team to beat.
No question about that. Let's continue with our MASL regular season awards. The keepers, you can't forget about the keepers, everybody. The MASL goalkeeper of the year, Chris Toth from the Tacoma Stars. And you look at the numbers too, 75% save percentage in this league with as much offense, which all the firepower that we've talked about here. Chris Toth has stood tall for the Tacoma Stars.
That is a great number to look at because you look at outdoor soccer, and sometimes you'll see goalkeepers be .800 or higher, even sometimes in certain cases over 900, but .752 save percentage. Indoor, again, 1,828 goals were scored in the regular season. League-wide, that is an incredible number when you look at how many shots they face. Goalkeepers have to deal with not just the players, the boards as well, the ball, how it carooms off the boards. And to have a save percentage that high is telling why Chris Toth is the goalkeeper of the year.
Chris Toth in his 11th season in the MASL. You notice a theme here, right? Defensively, Toth the keeper of the award, Chad Vandergrift the defender of the year. The vets, man, they have all the tricks. They know how to play the game. There is no doubt. One of the great stories in the Major Arena Soccer League this season, the coach of the year, Onua Obasi for Empire Strikers. You look at what happened to that franchise in 23-24. They won 3 games the entire season. This year they were above 500, and Coach Obasi did just an incredible job turning that program around, and they're a factor now.
Yeah, a turnaround job is the right word for it, because all levels of soccer, sometimes if a team like wins a World Cup, maybe a high school team wins a state championship or a college team wins a national championship, the coach of the year is just given to the winner. All too often, it's coaching jobs like this that get overlooked, and what you see the turnaround going from 3 to 12 wins in this league, that is the reason why Obasi was your coach of the year. It is an incredible turnaround job.
And it's good to see him get the accolades as well, because as you said, a lot of times just the best team typically gets a coach of the year and that is it. But he came in, he changed the entire mentality of a franchise, and they certainly were a factor and had a very good season. It'll be exciting to see what Obasi is able to do next year. And of course, it all culminates with the league MVP, and that is Jorge Rios of the Chihuahua Savage. The numbers are stunning. 33 goals, 19 assists, 52 total points. He was the MASL Finals MVP last season as well, and he is just absolutely electric. When he gets the ball at his feet, he just don't miss.
Things happen when Jorge Rios touches the ball. He is electric with the ball. Those numbers, 33 goals, 52 points, that led the MASL in the regular season. And this is a very deep offensive team. 8 players on Chihuahua's roster scored between 12 and 33 goals this season. Rios, 33 goals, 19 assists, tells a story that he can finish, but he can also play setup man when Chihuahua needs him to do so.
And there you see him too on the set piece as well, certainly a factor on that. And I think maybe he gets overlooked a little bit. He's a willing facilitator, right? Sometimes you see guys that have been in the league for a while, their role is to score goals. That is what they do. With Jorge Rios, he can do it any way you want to do it. Obviously, he can find the back of the net, but he is a willing facilitator.
Willing facilitator, great goal scorer. He's standing up on the wall there celebrating. I mean, flamboyant as well.
Right.
The flair for
well,
the dramatic.
You got to have a little juice, you know? When you score goals like he does, man, you got to have a little juice, bring a little energy to the crowd as well. And that crowd certainly down there at Corner Sport Arena, there is a lot of juice in that building because there's a ton of Chihuahua Savage goals. When we come back, we will take a look at an in-depth look at this matchup. We're getting close, everybody. A champion will be crowned tonight. You're watching the National Soccer Network.
With 6 calls, runway 26 right, cleared on.
We're coming down the stretch of the National Soccer Network's coverage of the 2025 Ron Newman Cup. The Major Arena Soccer League champion will be crowned. Chihuahua Savage hosting the Sockers coming up in just a couple of minutes. San Diego, a 7-5 win in Game 1. Can they do what nobody else has been able to do, and that is win in Chihuahua? We will find out in just a couple of minutes. Neil Rule, Dan Stickrat, back with you in our studios here in Detroit, Michigan. Well, Dan, let's talk about it. The big matchup, it was always going to be this way. Let's take a look at a couple of individual things that we need to pay attention to. The San Diego Sockers, the defensive player to watch. You'll notice a theme here because this is a keeper show, right, Dan? The keepers are going to take front and center. And when you look at what San Diego has been able to do, Pardo, Morales, all of it, it's going to take a moment of brilliance tonight, right? If you're going to go in and do something that nobody else in this league has done, somebody's going to have to put it on their shoulders and make a play at the keeper spot.
Yeah, they're going to have to make some key plays up and down the arena. When we called the game with these two teams about a month ago, the Sockers were up 2-1 early, and then Chihuahua just started to unload. They were coming at waves, their attack, and San Diego cannot let that happen here tonight, because if Chihuahua wins, there will be a third game later tonight, a shortened game to decide the overall championship. So if San Diego does find a way to win that first game, they will be crowned the champions. But again, you will have to make great defensive plays. Your goalkeeper is going to at times stand on their head. You're going to have to find ways to score, and you just cannot let Chihuahua kind of outscore you in an event like this. You're going to have to find a way. No one's been able to do that this year. You're going to have to find a way here tonight to slow that offense down.
And as you saw on the screen, Luis Morales is the guy to do that for San Diego. 4 goals in the playoff. He will have to continue doing that as well. And now let's check out on the Chihuahua Savage in their defensive player to watch, of course, Diego Reynoso. And again, I'm kind of reiterating and saying what I just said, but this is how it's going to be. The keeper is going to have to be the star of the show. We know the names that are able to do the things offensively. Chihuahua Savage, at some point, they will need a big stop here tonight from Reynoso.
Well, team-wise, defensively, not only does Chihuahua lead in terms of goals per game, they also lead in goals against average as a unit, 4.75 goals allowed in that regular season. So they can get it done on the defensive end. We've talked all season long about their offense. A lot of other media outlets have talked about Chihuahua's offense, but their defense deserves some credit based on what they've been able to do in terms of slowing other teams down as well.
That is the case, and that is the scenario here tonight, and certainly offensively for the Chihuahua Savage. You know the player to watch. Of course, it is Jorge Rios. But when you're the MVP of the league, that's the way that this goes down. And Jorge Rios, and again, Dan, I don't think that it can be understated enough. You did not see his name in the score sheet in Game 1 in San Diego. I'm not a betting man, but if I were, I really like Rios' chances to be a goal scorer here tonight, maybe more than one.
Yeah, you cannot slow him down multiple games in a row. That has been the case all season long. Rios is just a dynamic playmaker, a dynamic finisher, and at home, him and his teammates, they've really been unstoppable.
Dan, how do you see this one going down here tonight? I mean, it is the immovable force, the immovable object, all of it. How do you see this shaking out tonight?
Well, I think it's going to be a lot closer than some of the previous games. Again, when we called the game a month ago, it was 12-2
right.
here in Chihuahua.
I'd be stunned if that happened
in the
again.
Savages' favor. I don't think it's going to be like that. There's too much on the line. Do I see Chihuahua winning at least that first game and forcing a Game 3 later tonight? Yes, I do expect that to happen, and that's kind of the way you want it. No different than if you're covering the NBA Finals or Major League Baseball in the World Series. You want the games to go down to the very last possible game to decide the winner, and I think that's what we'll see here tonight.
And keep in mind, everybody, Chihuahua Savage, if they get the win and are able to stop elimination, remember, a bit of a unique setup for the Ron Newman Cup. There'll be a 15-minute period that is played. 15 minutes, everything on the line. And look, low-key, we're media guys. We're not really rooting for anybody here. I'm kind of rooting for that winner-take-all scenario, aren't you?
Yeah, it's cool to see that type of situation go down. And if Chihuahua can win that first game, 15 minutes, all the sides, your stars are going to have to shine. Your goalkeepers, your defenders, your midfielders, your forwards, it doesn't matter what position you play. If it goes down to a game 3, the stars are going to have to rise. Cream of the crop is going to have to stand up, and we will see who wins here later tonight.
Absolutely, and getting you those numbers for Boris Pardo at the keeper spot as well. 12-2 record on the season, played his college soccer at Seton Hall University. He has a lot on his shoulders here this evening. There is no question about that. Let's take our final break of the night, and when we return, we'll get you ready for the opening kick. Chihuahua Savage, San Diego Sockers coming up tonight. The Ron Newman Cup champion will be crowned. This is the National Soccer Network.
Good morning, New Yorkers. Looking for another beautiful day here in the city. Clouds just started falling out there. Temperatures staying in the high 40s. Tomorrow's forecast will be in the 60s. The beaches staying around 62.
In our online world, we have access to endless communication channels. But despite our online connections, one dynamic will always separate the value in a phone call from an email, and that's relationship. Growing businesses and customer relationships live and die by the phone system, and an enterprise phone solution is the key to bridging the communication gap between you and your customers. At Spectrum VoIP, we exist to make sure your communication is seamless, consistent, and reliable. With simple pricing and reliable support, we dramatically reduce your telecommunication expenses. We come to you to install, train, and onboard your team, and our 24/7 support team is always available to help. Our interactive web portal has endless features that include the real-time data you need, the ability to record, download, and re-listen to phone calls, and sending SMS text messages straight from your computer. And the best part is that all of this is available in the palm of your hand. Since reliability is one of your top priorities, we make it one of ours. So what makes us different? We don't just connect your phones. We power your connection with your customers, your team, and your next level as a business.
Wait, 6 call, runway 26 right, clear to land.
Welcome back. Final segment of the show, the Ron Newman Cup pregame show. Major Arena Soccer League, Chihuahua Savage, San Diego Sockers down there in Chihuahua, Mexico. Neil Rule, Dan Stickrat back here with you. And here is tonight's matchup by the numbers. You see that impressive goal differential. And I think, Stickrat, as you look at these numbers, the one thing that keeps going through my mind right now for San Diego is you have to find a way. You did it very successfully last weekend in San Diego. Just keep the horses in the barn. And when I say that, don't let them get out running wild, because as we saw, we called this match earlier this season when Chihuahua Savage played against San Diego. San Diego did just that for about 2 quarters. That can't be the case tonight.
Can't be the case. You know, I'll draw an analogy. When I was a little kid in the early 1980s, I picked up the Rubik's Cube for the first time. Still have not solved it. It's now 2025. No team has been able to solve the offense of the Chihuahua Savage in Corner Sport Arena. The Sockers are up 1-0, so that on the score sheet they are in the driver's seat, but they are going to have to win Game 2, or if it goes down to a shortened Game 3 later this evening, they are going to have to find a way to solve that riddle, to solve that Rubik's Cube, to slow down the Chihuahua Savages offense to win that Ron Newman Cup, to stand alone on top of the MASL pyramid. It's not an easy task. Can it be done? Yes. Will it happen? We will know here in the next few hours.
San Diego Sockers, remember this too, they've won 6 of these in the last 15 seasons. So the San Diego Sockers, no stranger to winning championships as well. This is just, again, Dan, I go back to it. It was always going to be this way. It was always going to be Chihuahua Savage and San Diego Sockers. It's electric. I can't wait for this matchup tonight. This is going to be high quality. This is going to be the best the Major Arena Soccer League has to offer, and it'll be available to everyone on CBS Sports Golazo national TV audience.
Yes. You looked at that NCAA basketball tournament, how the number 1 and number 2 seeds all got to the Elite Eight. I think 7 of the 8 top seeds got there. 1 versus 2 here tonight always was going to be that way. That's kind of what you want. You want the 2 best teams in the regular season playing on that final night of the postseason. It's going to be a great night of soccer down in Chihuahua, Mexico. I can't wait either. I'm looking forward to see what happens here over the next couple hours.
Make sure you tap in on CBS Sports Golazo. The action coming up in just a couple of minutes. With that being said, that will wrap up our coverage of the Ron Newman Cup pregame show. And there is the Chihuahua Savage, the starters that you see. So from my broadcast partner, Dan Stickrat, our producers, Jonathan Turner, Marcello Rule, my name is Neil Rule. Enjoy the action. Major Arena Soccer League Championship tonight on CBS Sports Golazo. Thanks for watching, everybody. Well, see you later.